मिला है। एंड मुझे इस बात की बहुत खुशी है कि आज इतने बड़े सम्मानीय शख्सियत हमारे साथ हैं। बद्रीनाथ सर, जिनको देख देख के हम लोगों ने बहुत कुछ सीखा है। मैं खुद एक इंटरेक्शन किया हूं, पर सर मुझे उस तरीके से नहीं पहचानते होंगे, पर मैं बहुत अच्छे से पहचानता जानता और बहुत बार पहुंचा हूं सर को, कागज लेके हम लोग गए हैं। तो थैंक यू सो मच सर। और साथ ही साथ हमारे साथ एक बहुत ही वजनदार सरनेम के साथ मौजूद हैं केजरीवाल सर। तो वो सिर्फ वजनदार सरनेम ही नहीं, वो आदमी भी बहुत वजनदार हैं। लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स टू लर्न फ्रॉम यू, बोथ ऑफ यू सर। वी आर हियर today to get educated from whatever you want to give us. It will be a blessing which we'll cherish forever. I want to speak a bit about our association, our organization. We are professional. We are a team of professionals who started this organization, and people are from different verticals who are here, different organizations who are here. People are from public relation department of different CPSU, private bodies, from advertising industry, from digital communication. So there is a variety of expertise and experience, and I think we are 150 plus members now. And if we collectively add the experience, we have experience of more than 10,000 years together who are here. So a lot of experience which is coming to serve the society, add to the society, and nurture the youngster to be a better PR professionals and communication professionals. आज का जो विषय है इफेक्टिव फाइनेंशियल कम्युनिकेशन की बात हो रही है। सबसे पहले तो इफेक्टिव कम्युनिकेशन की अगर हम बात करें तो आई फील दैट कम्युनिकेशन तब तक इफेक्टिव नहीं हो सकता जब तक वो कंप्लीट ना हो। सो anything which starts and does not complete is not communication. So we believe that we all are effective communicator, and that is why this forum is going very it's running at a great pace, and it's successfully adding so many things to it. We have been into social activities, we have been into educational programs, we have a team of experts who are going to different institutions and guiding youngsters for better communication knowledge, imparting them a lot of information about the industry, and also facilitating them for their better future. Financial communication की जब हम बात करते हैं तो खास तौर पे मैं आज के गुरुओं से मैं जानता हूं कि हमारे को ये जरूर पता चलेगा, जब हम शुरू में पीआर या कम्युनिकेशन की शुरुआत करते हैं तो हम बेसिक मोस्ट ऑफ अस आर वो जो क्या बोलते हैं, जो पन्ने होते हैं रंगीन पीले कलर के पन्नों से बहुत डर लगता था। मैं इकोनॉमिक टाइम्स देखता था, शुरू में तो मुझे समझ नहीं आता था कि कैसे मैं उसे पढूं और कैसे मैं उसको जानूं ज्यादा से ज्यादा। मैं अपनी बात कह रहा हूं, बट धीरे धीरे पता चला कि सारी दुनिया उन्हीं अखबारों के आसपास चलती है और उन्हीं कम्युनिकेशन के आसपास चलती है। सो फाइनेंशियल कम्युनिकेशन की एक सबसे बड़ी बात है कि वो आप मैंडेटरी है करना। अगर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कोई है और उसको अपने स्टेक होल्डर्स के साथ इंटरेक्ट करना है, उसको अथॉरिटीज के साथ इंटरेक्ट करना है, सेवी को मैंडेटरी इंफॉर्मेशन देना है, सब कुछ बिना फाइनेंशियल कम्युनिकेशन के पूरा नहीं हो सकता। सो एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के लिए जनरल कम्युनिकेशन को वो रोक सकता है। वो चाहे कि आज अच्छा नहीं चल रहा है तो हम चुप हो जाएं, वी कैन keep mum, we cannot do anything, we don't want to do any publicity. But when it comes the turn of financial communication, it becomes a mandatory thing. Rama madam, I request you to mute your तो
सब लोगों से रिक्वेस्ट है, प्लीज म्यूट योरसेल्व्स। बहुत जरूरी है, बिकॉज अदरवाइज इट विल डिस्टर्ब द फ्लो ऑफ द इवेंट।
जी, और being a moderator, the only request which moderator makes is everybody please stick to the time. So I want to stick to the time. my start was for 5 minutes. I want to hand over the next thing to our Honorable Chairman, Shri S.S. Rao Sahab, and he will take the proceeding further.
Thank you very much, Sarvesh. You made my task easier today. Whatever I wanted to say, you've already said it. There is nothing much that I can add at this point in time, but there are a few things that I want to share with you all. My association goes back to the year 1993. That was the first. That was the year when I met Mr. Badrinath. He was in Financial Express that time. He was a special correspondent covering Powerbeat. So so from him, I learned a lot of things because those days I was like any other youngster, 23, 24-year-old, and still trying to learn the tricks of the trade and the nuances of public relations and journalism and things like that. So I mean, from Mr. Badrinath, I learned a lot of things, especially people of my age. They would be able to recall like Bawa Saab, Dondial Saab, and Dhawan Saab and all. I mean, we had all very closely worked with him because there is hardly any beat that he has not covered. Like right from parliamentary affairs to you name the beat, you name the economic newspaper, he was there. Like Financial Chronicle, Economic Times, Financial Express, and quite an experienced journalist and a multifaceted personality and policy analyst, writer, commentator. There are a lot of things. He's a teacher. He's been teaching at IMC for the past, I think, 20 years or so. It's a matter of enigma, how he is able to spare time for all this. Like a person like me, with one role as, working for one company, I find it very difficult to, balance, between all other things. But instead of so many things, so many, other things, he has been able to spare time. And one thing that I want to share with all of you is like, Mr. Badrinath is the managing trustee of India Foundation for Rural Development, which basically it's dedicated to the betterment of villages. See, this is this is really admirable. I mean, the quality normally persons we are not able to spare time. Yeah, everybody is hard pressed for time, right? So, but in spite of his busy schedule, Mr. Badrinath is able to do so many things, especially for the society too. He is doing a lot. I had attended some of the programs which he organized as a managing trustee for this IFRD. So, sir, hats off to you. There are so many things that youngsters and people like us have to learn from you. And sir, just to set context for today's webinar, there are a lot of expectations. There are a lot of things that we are still not aware. Even I myself, when I talk about myself, there are certain things we are still not aware about of financial communication. I mean, what is it exactly? Whether it is targeting the present and potential shareholders or investors, or support and strengthen company's stock market value, or what exactly is that? Or the credibility of the company in the eyes of the shareholders? There are so many things, because this is one area which has relatively, which has not been touched upon by any other speaker in the past. So that makes it a kind of unique program. We have, as Sarvesh had already said, we had organized so many programs on during COVID. There is hardly any area which was not touched upon. But this financial communication is still, this is somewhat, I don't know why, but so far we couldn't really, maybe we are waiting for a speaker like you. So without wasting much time, and I wouldn't like to stand between the speaker and the audience. So now I hand over the mic back to Sarvesh ji. Sarvesh ji, over to you.
Right, sir. मैं साथ ही साथ आप सबसे जो भी यहाँ मौजूद है सबसे रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि you should keep posting questions in chat box. At the end, Vivek ji will take charge of that, and he will ensure that most of the questions are answered. And I now request Dondial sir, I welcome him to take the proceeding further and introduce our honorable guest. Please, sir.
Thank you, Sarvesh ji. I am going to talk to you about a journalist with intense instinct for investigative reporting to dig out the truth hidden behind the colored colored pictures. Sri K. Badrinath is a distinguished newsman with over 35 years of invaluable journalistic experience on policy and economic issues. Besides being a journalist and a policy analyst, he is also a renowned TV and radio political commentator and a teacher. He has worked for the topmost media brands, and when at Financial Express, he hogged headlines for unearthing rupees 133 crore urea scam, which nailed the high and mighty. And at Powergate, he also took out a scam which the powers in position did not like, be it fertilizer, power, oil, natural gas, infrastructure, finance, and markets. Sri Badrinath has covered virtually every beat on economy. He has covered over 27 union budgets and has been one of the few correspondents to have covered parliament session after session and year after years. Born in a modest family from Andhra Pradesh, Sri Badrinath has made a name for himself as a teacher too by teaching financial reporting and development journalism in an institute of mass communication for the last 20 years. Multi-talented and equally passionate about social issues, he is also the managing trustee of India Foundation for Rural Development Studies and honorary editor of the bilingual monthly magazine Sopan Step. In 2020, he moved from being the editor of Financial Chronicle to become the principal advisor at the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Sri Badrinath writes extensively for foreign media's outlets and is also the chief executive director of the Center for Integrated and Holistic Studies. A movie buff and a family man, he is also a certified defense security issues correspondent on the court of Jawaharlal Nehru University Court, headed by President Sri Ramnath Kovind. Thank you so much.
Sarvesh ji, over to you.
Sir, I now request Dhawan sir to introduce our honorable guest.
Namaskar, friends. At the outset, we all know that Corporate Communication Department works closely with Finance and Company Secretariat of a company, especially when the company enters.
Sir, I request you, sorry for interrupting, I request you to be a bit louder, sir.
Okay. Friends, we all know that Corporate Communication Department works closely with Finance and Company Secretariat of a company, especially when the company enters primary market or for the finance-related brand building exercise. But I say that we all professionals must now involve independent market analyst who is well aware of market intermediaries, investing communities, market intricacies, media fraternity, and government functioning. This has become necessary because of rising cutthroat competition for attracting investors and public at large. Now, as so many businesses are entering in the market, the market analyst advice can help in success of your venture. Just to emphasize my point, I know many cases besides the case of GRSE, which I would tell you a bit about that. In GRSE case, Godrej Reach Shipbuilders and Engineers Limited case, the company launched its public issue in September 2018, and its annual production was just about 1,000 crore annually, while it had the order book of rupees 20,000 crore. That means the company would have taken around 18 years, which would not have been acceptable to the market. Fortunately, in the document of the company, it was mentioned that the company acquired Raja Bagan dockyard and that would increase GRSC's shipbuilding capacity. After Mr. Kejriwal's visit and seeing the details, a narrative was devised as to how new facilities would help in reducing the time of execution of the capacity. As the capacity was being doubled, the strategy was further planned that the narrative was acceptable by the market. I'm sure Mr. Kejriwal will tell us more about the case and other cases, including DLF case. Now, coming to Mr. Kejriwal, Mr. Arun Kejriwal is an eminent independent market analyst, well known for his knowledge of India's stock capital markets. He is founder of CRIS, Kejriwal Research and Investment Services. He has 100% success rate in all cases handled by him. After his schooling and graduation from Champion School and Sydenham College in Mumbai, he worked for various manufacturing firms, but his self-belief and the desire to sell ideas drove him to capital market. Over the years, he has honed his abilities in media handling and dealing with media intermediaries and investors. He has donned the role of a coach, trainer, advisor, and counselor for various chief experience officers and key management personnel. Mr. Arun Kejriwal is a detailed investor champion known for his unbiased, influential opinions and bold views. Policymakers, stock exchanges, regulators, government functionaries, and media fraternity has taken his views and opinion. He is also a prolific writer. He writes a weekly column for IANS and BizBuzz newspaper. Earlier, he used to write for DNA, Financial Chronicle, and Midday, and other media platforms. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sarvesh.
Thank you, Dhawan sir. And now it's the time for which we have been waiting. We have two respected speakers who will be speaking for 15 minutes each, and then the question and answer will be followed. I now invite the storyteller, the person who has shaped many policies, who's guided on many policies on government affairs, who is an expert of financial communication, who has taught all of us some way or the other way. So I welcome Sri Badrinath to guide us and let us know, let us learn more from him. I invite sir. Please, sir, you're welcome on PRSD.
Thank you, Sarveshi. Thank you, Mr. Rao. Daundyal sir, thank you for your kind words about me and your introduction. It's nice to be with all of you. A lot of you are my old friends, and it's always nice to reconnect with all of you. I hope I'm audible to all of you.
Yeah, very much, sir.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Thank you. So basically, when Mr. Daundyal proposed that I should be talking on financial communication, I was wondering, am I the right person to do it at all? And then he said, okay, at least just relate your experiences and perhaps from there we can take on the discussion and the debate. Okay. Mr. Rao has been an old dear friend. I covered power sector in a big way. Henceforth, Mr. Rao Rama has been a dear friend. Dhawan Saab is an old dear friend, by being part of the Scope network. And so I can see a lot of names. Baba Saab is here, Mr. Gurmukh Singh Baba. Babaji has been an old dear friend of the sector. So my guess is that it's like speaking to friends. Uh, I'll not make a very boring presentation or any such thing. Let's do a honest conversation and see where we get across. And I would only share some of my experiences and some of the expectations from the media networks as to what do they expect in terms of financial communication. Now, the issue that was given to me was financial communication. But now I have two things to point out. Should we segregate financial communication from economic communication is an issue which we need to ponder about and decide. I'll come to this part little after 1 minute later, because I think economic and financial communication cannot be segregated. This both needs to be seen together. Is an issue which comes to my mind. I have a few why I'm making this point is that see, when we come to financial communication, the normal traditional definition is well, I need to speak about my company. I need to speak how great it is, how well it is doing. The best part of it has to be put out on the headlines next day morning and all that. And it's fair enough. As communicators and as people working for different companies, we need to do that. And people who are working for the government always think that the best of the financial policies need to be put out. And especially, the people who are, dealing with economic ministries have massive stress to see how best they can communicate and put the best, image of the government's policies and all that. Now, I have two issues with this. One, do we need to only present the best or the most positive part of it? Is a question. We can ponder about it. There is no hard and fast rule that we all need to agree on anything. And let's sometime may like to agree to disagree. But the question here is, should we only talk about positive things a company does in terms of financials, in terms of business, in terms of profits, in terms of shareholders' value creation? In the process, many a time I have seen that we go on a syndrome called hyperbole syndrome. Because why I picked up this word hyperbole syndrome is that many a time we try to exaggerate. Many a time we may, knowingly, unknowingly, we may like to not say a few things. And many a time as part of our strategy also, even if we know something is not very right, we may or we may not. Is there someone wanting to say something? No. Okay. Even if there is something which we want to say, but we cannot say because of our, policy with the company that we are working for. Many a time we think that no, it's not right to share these things because it is not in the interest of the company or the CEO or the chairman. Or many a time what happens is the less said the better. Sometimes, say for example, if the company is going to IPO, there is something called the silent period. And silent period mein kuch bolna nahi yaar. Let's not talk at all. Because the SEBI regulations do not allow you to talk if you are a listed company. So, but my experience as a journalist has been that there are several examples I've found where naming the companies may not be right actually, because it's many of you are still in the business, and the financial communication is serious business. It's not just no, like he said that and he said this and all that kind of stuff. Many a time what happens is that we tend to put a big wheel of secrecy on the company's actual picture. And many a time it brings in some amount of dilemma. Am I doing the right thing or am I doing the wrong thing? If I give out the right picture to Mr. K. Badrinath, who is wanting to hog the headline next day morning, then I had it. If I don't give, my conscience may prick as to whether it's the right thing I'm doing or not. So, a delicate balance between what needs to be said, what should not be said, may have to be seen as communicators. And many a times, with a lot of the PR professionals that I have met in the industry, power, finance, petroleum, natural gas, fertilizers, everything. Believe me, it's not that I have just reported what has been told to me. And I have never accepted anything on the face value. Maybe that was my nature. But a reporter's nature is that you don't take anything by face value. So when Mr. Rao was introducing, sir, media matrix kaisa rahega, media ka nature kaise rahega, and that was the thing, one small note that I got. So media matrix is that the first line that we learn in journalism, as all of you know, is question everything, dissect everything, analyze everything, read between the lines, try to read things which are not said. I'll give you one simple example. And a big power company, huge one at that, and it came out with normally like it's quarterly results, or maybe because you have to give the half-yearly results and year-end results. The revenues are so much, so big. My sales are so many, 12,000 crores. But then they say that the gross profits are so and so. The percentage of profits that have gone up is so huge. But after that, the journalist is not a person who has, many of us may not have read finance, but over the years we have picked up a few tricks. So many a time we read the balance sheet and we know what you're talking. So what happens is, being as simple and as easy is the best way to deal with the financial issues of a company. Same is the case with economic issues. So if the finance minister in her budget speech is going to hide something, just going through the budget at a glance, I know how much she is hiding. If I go through the balance sheet of a company with 2, 3, 4 asterisk marks at the end, below the footnote, I know what the company is hiding from me, or the investors, or from the stakeholder, or from the promoter, or sometimes the CFO may not even tell the promoters what is happening. So this is called dressing up of balance sheets. So
your voice is missing, sir.
Okay.
And we have 5 more minutes.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, let's be as honest, as simple, and as clear as possible. I mean, it may be very difficult for us to be there because you have a obligation to your company. but you also have an equivalent obligation to your investors. The same way that the finance minister has an obligation to her taxpayers. The same way that a government has an obligation towards its voters. The same way that every rupee spent by the government needs to be accounted for.
Davanti.
So what I'm trying to get at is that one, as communicators, we also have another role. As can we play the role, or should we play the role of whistleblowers? There is a very subtle line between a whistleblower and a communicator, especially a financial communicator. Because why? If I would not have a whistleblower in National Fertilizers Limited, the urea scam would not have come to the fore. If there is no whistleblower in Power Grid Corporation, then I would not have exposed some of the irregularities. So what I'm trying to say, I'm speaking out of my experience. Are financial communicators also whistleblowers? Should we play that role in the larger interest of the industry, stakeholders, then your investors, your shareholders, your promoters, your company as such, is a question which we need to look at. So, like your AGMs, annual general meetings may not happen. In private companies, it's a huge business. In government companies, it may be a slightly different character. But all of us have finally to respect what the investor wants, what the market wants, and what is required from us is a question that we need to look at. I was just reading through Harvard Business Review, HBR. All of you have heard of Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is the chairperson of the Berkshire Hathaway. He every year writes about 20-25 pages note to all the investors, employees, and every one of them in the ecosystem of the Berkshire Hathaway. He wouldn't use high-sounding jargons and all that to make his point. And he wouldn't use numbers just to say that, oh, how well I'm doing and all that. No. He only says that, okay, I have an insurance business of about $53 billion way back in 2010. $53 billion, but this is not my money. Hello, let us be very clear. This is not my money. It is investors' premium that has come, insurance premium, insurance policy premiums that have collected, which have been onward invested for return. He says, this is not my money. I'm a trustee. Unless we have such kind of clarity, unless we try to promote that, it may be very difficult to expect that to happen overnight. But as a community, we need to promote that kind of a situation. And he says that, okay, my cost of funds. Many a time, what is the cost of funds raised by a company? Many a time it could be 4%, 5%, if it is 3%, if it is in the external commercial borrowing segment. Or if it is from the depositors, it could be different. If the external depositors, it is different. Internal depositors, it is different. If it is through IPO, there could be a premium. So the cost of funds is a big issue for a company. But Hathaway says that, well, I have a cost to the company of the money that I've raised is sub-zero. Sub-zero, meaning that it doesn't cost money to me to just, raise money. And he says that I have been paid $2.8 billion way back in 2010 to say that, okay, to raise money from the market. And make it as simple as possible. Can we, many a time what happens is that we do very high sounding business statements. When I see the press release, I remember the good old press releases of many public sector companies as well as private sector companies or joint venture. That's very high sounding. The words put you off. How well can we simplify that? Is a big challenge for all of us. And do we have the knowledge base to simplify?
सर अभी देख लीजिए, नाम आ गया है बकुल और मेरा चेहरा दिख रहा है. Okay, sir.
So, point I'm trying to make is, can we be very, very, very upright about our role as financial communicators? Second part I would like to make is, do we have the role of a whistleblower if something goes wrong? Third, there are ways to communicate, all of you know. It need not be just a press release. And I have known that I have interacted with many of you on the phone and got the best of my story. And I've learned a lot. I would remember I did not know the difference between a megawatt and a kilowatt hour. And I know how Mr. R.K. Nair gave me one first day, teaching of what is the difference between kilowatt hour and megawatt. It's not that we all are some kind of geniuses. No, all of us are simple reporters. So if simple reporter is that, many of the young breed is more qualified. But my guess is experience cannot beat it. So I would expect 3-4 things from this group of community of communicators. One, let's be as honest as possible about our own companies. Like the finance minister has to be honest. The same way, she cannot hide the deficit. She has to show the deficit, whether she likes it or not. Same way, we need to show if there is a loss. We have to deliver the bad news as easily as possible to the investor, as simple as possible, as subtle as possible. It doesn't matter. One day the market may go down because your stock price must have gone down and things like that. Doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. But the shareholders are your God. Your investors are your God. Like consumer is the king. The same way shareholder is the king for us. This seems to be my way of looking at it. Third thing is, as PRSD, can we have knowledge sharing issues or knowledge sharing classes? Can we create a mechanism, institutional mechanism for knowledge sharing, especially on the market dynamics? Especially on how the macro financial policies would impact, how the Reserve Bank's decisions impact, how the SEBI's directives impact us. So can we have some kind of an institutional mechanism for knowledge sharing? Especially youngsters are more enthusiastic and they want to know what is happening around. One is that. Second thing is, can we think of designing a course on financial communication from PRSD kind of a situation? Can we think of such a thing which would help many of us? I myself am not a finance expert. I'm a pure science student. Whatever little I've learned is learned on the job. And they are very different from what is taught in the classes in theory. So this is a second suggestion that I have. Third is that perhaps in the digital world or the media world, not much can be hidden. So we need to see how it impacts our communication strategies. This is another third issue I want you all to consider. The fourth issue that comes to my mind is, how do we achieve a balance, delicate balance between protecting the company from some kind of a, should we regulate information? Should we not regulate information? Is always a question, which whether it is financial communication or any other form of communication. Should the information flow be free? If it is not free, what are we up to? Are we trying to stop people from knowing something? So the element of suspicion should go. This is what my feeling is. So I think I've overtaken my time. Thank you so much. God bless all of you. I'm with you all and wish you all a very, very happy Deepavali in advance.
Thank you so much, sir, for your blessings. It means a lot for us, and there are many things which has come to our kitty and which we'll cherish, relish, and use for our growth, development, and success. Thank you so much, sir. I now invite someone. मैं कहता हूं कि कुछ लोग पैसा कमाते हैं, कुछ लोग पैसा बनाते हैं, और कुछ लोग पैसा बनाने का रास्ता दिखाते हैं. तो जैसा मैंने बोला कि सरनेम बहुत पावर हाउस है, पर ये इंसान भी बहुत पावर हाउस है. He is a mentor to CXOs, CEOs, and all the top managements of so many corporates. इन्होंने बहुत लोगों को रास्ता दिखाया और बहुत लोगों को जिंदगी भी बनाई है और बहुत लोगों को पैसा भी बनवाया है. सो सर, हम जरूर चाहते हैं कि हमें रास्ता भी दिखाएं और कहीं ना कहीं हम दूसरे वाला भी काम कर पाए. आई रिस्पेक्टफुली इनवाइट श्री अरुण केजरीवाल साहब.
नमस्कार जी. आपने जो इंट्रोडक्शन दिया सर्वेश जी, उसके लिए बड़ा बड़ा आपका धन्यवाद, आभार. और मैं ये बोलना चाहूँगा कि ये जो मुझे मंच पर एक मौका मिला है बात करने के लिए, इसके लिए मैं सभी लोगों का आभारी हूँ, खास करके धवन जी का, जिन्हें मैं कई साल से जानता हूँ. और जब उन्होंने मुझे कहा कि आई शुड डू दिस, आई हैड नो चॉइस, इफ आई कुड से सो. I could not ever say no to him, and here I am in front of you, trying to speak and share my thoughts. So, sir, at the end of the day, when somebody goes to the capital markets, जब कोई कंपनी शेयर बाजार को टैप करती है, पैसा जुटाती है, तो it could be by way of a fresh issue, it could be by way of an offer for sale. End of the day, it is selling of shares which raises the money. जब आप कोई चीज बेचते हो तो अपने देश में एक बहुत बड़ा एड आपने देखा होगा मारुति गाड़ी का, जहां पर यह पूछा जाता है कि कितना देती है. ये सवाल है माइलेज के ऊपर. तो ये एड अपन ने गाड़ी में भी सुना है, ये एड अपन ने बड़े जहाज के ऊपर भी सुना है. और आप समझ सकते हो कि जब जहाज पानी में चलता है, हजारों टन लेकर चलता है, तो उसकी माइलेज का कोई इंपॉर्टेंस नहीं होता. बट फिर भी इंडियन मेंटालिटी ऐसी है कि ये पूछा जाता है कितना देती है. उसी तरह शेयर बाजार में जब आप कोई चीज बेचने जाते हो तो खरीदार या पॉसिबल बायर जिसको कहते हैं, उसको हर तरह का सवाल पूछने का हक है, ये उसका राइट है. और अगर सेलर उसको जवाब नहीं देता तो ये माना जाता है कि वो कुछ छुपाना चाहता है. In this context, I would like to share a couple of examples which I have had, and the good fortune where the advice taken by the management team has helped them in communicating better. आपको याद होगा 2007-8 में DLF पहली एक बड़ी कंपनी आई थी बाजार को टैप करने के लिए रियल एस्टेट सेक्टर से. और उस समय DLF एक ऐसी कंपनी थी जिसके ऊपर सेबी ने 1 करोड़ रुपए का फाइन लगाया था, जो उस समय किसी भी कंपनी के ऊपर में फाइन ये हाईएस्ट कॉर्पोरेट फाइन था. तो जब मेरे इंटरैक्शंस हुए कंपनी मैनेजमेंट और उनके की लीडरशिप टीम के साथ, तो चर्चा यही हुई कि हमने कोई गलती नहीं की है, हम इस गलती के लिए किसी से माफी नहीं मांगेंगे और हम किसी के दबाव में नहीं थे, लेकिन हमने फाइन दिया. तो मैंने कहा सर कि जब आपने इतिहास बनाया है और वो भी एक जिसे कहते हैं डुबियस हिस्ट्री, जहां पे आपने 1 करोड़ का फाइन दिया है, आप ये कैसे कह सकते हो कि आपने कुछ गलती नहीं की, चाहे वो टेक्निकल इन नेचर हो, चाहे वो अनइंटेंशनल हो, बट गलती तो थी। तो एक तरह से एक विवाद हो गया बिटवीन द की लीडरशिप टीम और मेरी सोच। और जब मैं मैनेजमेंट को ये बात कहा, जब प्रमोटर्स को मिस्टर सिंह को जब ये कहा और उनके लड़के को कहा, तो एक विवाद सा रहा कि अब हमें ये क्या स्टैंड लेना चाहिए। तो उन्होंने कहा प्लान ए, प्लान बी, प्लान सी क्या होगा। मैंने कहा सर प्लान ए ये है कि आप मुझे ये बताइए हुआ क्या। तो जवाब में ये समझ में आया कि 1974-75 के समय, जस्ट बिफोर इमरजेंसी, जब रियल एस्टेट सेक्टर बहुत एक खराब परिस्थिति से गुजर रहा था, उसके बाद इमरजेंसी आई तो प्रॉपर्टी, इस टाइप के बड़े जो डील्स है सब बंद हो गए और डीएलएफ की हालत बहुत ज्यादा खस्ता थी। तो उनके अकाउंटेंट ने उनको ये कहा कि सर ये जो 25 लाख रुपए अपन एक कंपनी की, एक सब्सिडरी कंपनी की लिस्टिंग की फीस अगर बचा ले तो कंपनी को 25 लाख रुपए सालाना बचेंगे। और उस समय आप सोच सकते हो 1974-75 में 25 लाख की कीमत क्या होती थी। मेरे ख्याल से 2 जीरो भी अगर उसमें ऐड कर दे तो शायद वो वैल्यू उससे कम नहीं हो सकती, उससे ज्यादा ही होगी। तो उन्होंने वो कंपनी को डीलिस्ट करा दिया, उसके ऊपर फाइन लगा, उसके ऊपर में उन्होंने कई शेयर होल्डर्स को एग्जिट रूट दी और कुछ मेरे ख्याल से 70-80 करोड़ रुपए तक का एक फाइन इनडायरेक्टली शेयर होल्डर्स को दिया था 2007 तक जब ये कंपनी पब्लिक आई। तो मैंने कहा सर एकदम सही है सिंह साहब, आप एक काम कीजिए, यही चीज एक शॉर्ट फॉर्म में इन्वेस्टर को कह दीजिए कि भाई ऐसा हुआ और 100% मेरे हिसाब से इस चीज के बाद में इसके ऊपर कोई सवाल नहीं आएंगे। तो बोले प्लान बी। मैंने कहा सर प्लान बी ऐसा है, अगर इसके बाद भी सवाल आए तो मैं उठकर ऑडियंस में से एक पहला सवाल पूछूंगा कि भाई ये होने के बाद में भी क्यों ऐसा हुआ कि लोगों को अब भी आप पर शक है, कोई चीज बाकी है। और अगर कोई निवेशक आज भी आपके पास आकर बोलता है ये मेरे शेयर हैं, इसका क्या होगा, तो आप उसका जवाब दे दीजिए। तो ये तय हो गई रणनीति, जिसे कहते हैं बिहाइंड द सीन्स एक तरह की अरेंजमेंट हो गई। और बंबई में वो शाम को जब एनालिस्ट मीट, ब्रोकर मीट होती है तो सिंह साहब उठे और ये बोले, और विश्वास कीजिए कि जैसे ये इन्होंने ये कहा, एक तरह से गलती मानी, एक कहा कि भाई उस समय परिस्थिति ऐसी थी, आपको ऑडियंस में कागज फाड़ने की आवाज आने लगी। जो लोगों ने तैयारी करके सवाल पूछने के लिए आए थे उन्होंने वो अपना कागज फाड़ लिया कि जब इतना बड़ा आदमी गलती मान रहा है, अब इस मुद्दे के ऊपर क्यों कुछ चर्चा करनी है। मुद्दा खत्म हो गया। 1 करोड़ का फाइन क्यों दिया गया किसी ने दोबारा नहीं पूछा, और जो फाइनेंशियल कम्युनिकेशन था एक सेंटेंस में खत्म हो गया। ये है पावर फाइनेंशियल कम्युनिकेशन का। मुद्दा समझिए, समझने के बाद में उसके ऑल्टरनेटिव्स सोचिए, सोचने के बाद में कैसे आदमी सोचता है, क्या उसके दिमाग में जाता है। और ये ध्यान में रखिए कि क्राउड में कलेक्टिव थिंकिंग होती है, अलग अलग आदमी अलग अलग नहीं सोचते, वो एक झुंड की तरह सोचते हैं। तो ये एक मेरी जिसे कहते हैं बड़ी सक्सेस स्टोरी रही, जहां पर मैं इन्वेस्टर्स को एक मैसेज प्रमोटर की तरफ से दे पाया और उसे इमीडिएटली एक्सेप्ट किया गया। इसी तरह एक आपको मैं सवाल पूछना, एक और आपको एक उदाहरण देना चाहता हूं। ये एक सार्वजनिक क्षेत्र की कंपनी थी, गार्डन रीच शिप बिल्डर्स एंड इंजीनियर्स, जो 2016-17 में अपने वार्षिक नतीजों को डिक्लेयर करने के बाद में पब्लिक जाने वाली थी। जब वो पब्लिक जा रही थी तो उसकी एक बड़ी प्रॉब्लम ये थी कि ऑर्डर बुक उसके पास 20,000 करोड़ रुपए के थे, लेकिन जो उसकी वार्षिक जो सेल होती थी या रेवेन्यू जो होती थी वो 1,000 करोड़ के आसपास होती थी। और वो ये कहती थी कि मेरा जो ऑर्डर बुक है वो अगले 5 से 7 साल में पूरा हो जाएगा। तो जैसे अपन सब समझते हैं, अगर 20,000 को 1,000 से आप डिवाइड करो तो वो फिगर 18 से 20 के बीच में आएगा, न कि 5 से 7 साल के बीच का। तो सवाल ये उठता है कि अगर आपके पास में इतना ऑर्डर बुक है और आपकी एवरेज अवधि ऑर्डर पूरा करने की 5 से 7 साल की है, तो आप हर साल कुछ न कुछ पेनल्टी दोगे। अगर आप पेनल्टी दोगे तो कंपनी का मुनाफा कम होगा। तो ऐसी कंपनी में कोई निवेश क्यों करे? मैं जब कंपनी को मिलने गया और जो वहां पर जो उनके अध्यक्ष थे, उन्होंने कहा कि अपन सवाल जवाब बाद में करेंगे, पहले फैक्ट्री पूरी देख के आइए, यार्ड, शिपयार्ड को पूरा देख के आइए। तो गार्डन रीच जो कलकत्ते में है, उसके बगल में एक कंपनी थी राजा बगान डॉकयार्ड करके, जो गार्डन रीच ने खरीदा था। तो वहां पर उन्होंने शिपयार्ड बनाने के लिए जो जेटी होती है वो एडिशनल 5-6 क्रिएट की थी, जिससे कि इसकी शिप बिल्डिंग कैपेसिटी डबल हो गई थी। तो मैंने कहा सर अपने पास तो बनी बनाई एक पिच है, एक स्टोरी है, एक कहने के लिए मुद्दा है कि भाई अपने पास में कैपेसिटी पहले कम थी, हमने एडिशनल शिपयार्ड के लिए ये बर्थ बनाए हैं जहां पर साइमल्टेनियसली मल्टीपल नंबर ऑफ शिप्स 5-6 के जगह अब 12-13 बन सकते हैं। तो हमारी कैपेसिटी डबल हो गई है। शिप बिल्डिंग में जैसे आप में से कुछ लोग जानते होंगे, उनको छोड़कर बाकी के लिए मैं एक जानकारी देना चाहता हूं कि शिपयार्ड में जो इनिशियल जो आप शुरू करते हो, वो शिप की कील ले करी जाती है और उसके ऊपर में आप बिल्डिंग ब्लॉक्स की तरह, जैसे अपन लेगो में खेलते थे बचपन में, वैसे आप उसके ऊपर में ब्लॉक्स बना बनाकर शिप को बिल्ड करते हो बिट बाय बिट। तो ये जो है हमने एक पिच यूज किया और इसी पिच को लेकर सरकार की कंपनी जब आगे गई तो उन्हें सक्सेस मिला। और ये जो मुद्दा जहां पर हर जगह, हर सेंटर, बंबई, दिल्ली, कलकत्ता, अहमदाबाद, राजकोट, जहां जहां कंपनी गई यही सवाल बार बार उठाया गया और इसका जवाब जब दिया गया तो लोगों को एक संतुष्टि मिली कि हाँ ये बराबर है और हम जो कह रहे हैं ये एक फेयर मुद्दा है, एक फेयर तरीका है कंपनी का आगे बढ़ने का। वापस वही नतीजा, सिंपल सॉल्यूशन ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन, और एक बड़ा जो मुद्दा था वो सॉल्व हो गया। तो इसी तरह अगर आप देखें तो कई जो है अपने ये जो फाइनेंशियल कम्युनिकेशन जो होता है उसमें मुद्दा बड़ा लगता है, सॉल्यूशन बहुत सिंपल होता है, लेकिन उसे सोच कर जवाब देना चाहिए। और क्योंकि आजकल जो डिजिटल वर्ल्ड है जिसमें कम्युनिकेशन एक जगह से दूसरी जगह इतनी जल्दी पास हो जाता है, आपको मौका नहीं मिलता कि आपका स्टैंड चेंज करे। आपका स्टैंड बनाइए, उस पर फर्म रहिए और उसी को कम्युनिकेट कीजिए बार बार। तो अगर आप इसके बाद कोई सवाल हो, I would be ready to answer any questions that you may have.
Right, sir. Vivek Shukla, this side. Arun sir, thank you so much. You gave two beautiful examples of how to use financial communication to win the investors' trust. Questions तो अभी जैसा मैं चैट में देख पा रहा हूँ फिलहाल नहीं आए हैं, लेकिन एक सवाल जो मेरे जहन में आ रहा है फिलहाल, जो GRSE का एग्जांपल आपने दिया, उसमें जैसा कि उन्होंने बताया कि 20,000 करोड़ का ऑर्डर है उनके पास में, लेकिन जो वो प्रॉफिट बना रहे हैं वो 1,000 करोड़ के आसपास से बना रहे हैं साल में, या काम कर रहे हैं 1,000 करोड़ के आसपास का।
हाँ जी, हाँ जी।
तो 20 साल लगने चाहिए उस कैलकुलेशन के हिसाब से, तो 5 से 7 साल में कैसे करेंगे? सो वो जो सिचुएशन थी which was a reality of GRSE. How did you use financial communication? Did you use that to alter the reality? What should we do? Alter the reality and give a different projection to the investor, or give the exact projection to the investor and try to win their trust?
सर, अगर आप ऑल्टर करोगे तो हो सकता है आज आपका कम्युनिकेशन एक्सेप्ट हो जाए, पर 2 महीने बाद, 3 महीने बाद तो आप झूठे कहे जाओगे, तो उससे आपका ट्रस्ट तो कभी बन नहीं सकता। लेकिन जो वर्चुअल रियलिटी थी कि उन्होंने एडिशनल कैपेसिटी क्रिएट की थी जिससे उनकी शिप बिल्डिंग कैपेसिटी डबल से ज्यादा हो गई थी, उसका बेनिफिट 1 साल में नहीं मिलेगा, क्योंकि शिप जो आप आज शुरू करोगे उसको 5-7 साल लगेगा। तो हकीकत ये थी कि आज से जो आप शिप एडिशनल बनाना शुरू करोगे 7 साल बाद आपको उसका पूरा बेनिफिट दिखेगा, क्योंकि शिप बिल्डिंग टेक्स 5 to 7 years। लेकिन आपके पास एक रन रेट है, आपके पास में एक ग्रोथ प्लान है कि भाई अगले साल में 1000-1200 के बदले में 1500-1600 होगा, क्योंकि शिप बिल्डिंग में देयर इज व्हाट इज नोन एज वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस। हर साल का वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस ऐड करते जाता है। तो बिना झूठ कहे आप जो है एक हकीकत दे रहे हो और आप उस हकीकत को समझा रहे हो कि ये हमारी कैपेसिटी हो गई है, इतने हमारे पास में शिप बिल्डिंग बर्थ्स हैं, हर बर्थ पे नया शिप जाके काम शुरू होगा। झूठ बोलने से कभी आपका प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व नहीं हो सकता। हाँ जी,
मैं सभी से यहाँ पे दरखास्त करूंगा कि वी हैव ओपन द फोरम फॉर क्वेश्चन एंड आंसर। ईदर यू कैन राइट इट इन द चैट बॉक्स और यू कैन जस्ट अनम्यूट योरसेल्फ एंड आस्क। सर
आई हैव अ
एक और
क्वेश्चन।
सवाल।
विवेक
जी प्लीज गो अहेड।
मैं सर से ये पूछना चाहता हूँ कि चूंकि फाइनेंशियल कम्युनिकेशन बहुत सेंसिटिव होता है, एक छोटी सी नुक्ताचीनी इधर की उधर हो जाती है तो बहुत मामला गड़बड़ हो जाता है। और क्योंकि बहुत सारे अथॉरिटीज इन्वॉल्व होते हैं, सेबी इन्वॉल्व होती है, तो अगर कभी सर ऐसी कोई क्राइसिस आती है तो उसको कैसे रेक्टिफाई करना चाहिए? क्या पहला स्टेप होना चाहिए? द बेसिक थिंग विच यू वांट अस टू नो, द यंगर जनरेशन टू नो, जो कम्युनिकेटर्स हैं, जो पीआर के लोग हैं, कि कैसे या तो धैर्य रखें या क्या आइडियाज पे काम करने चाहिए? व्हाट शुड बी, हाउ वी शुड हैंडल क्राइसिस इन फाइनेंशियल कम्युनिकेशन?
आपने एक बहुत अहम मुद्दा उठाया है। एक काल्पनिक घटना लेते हैं, एक क्राइसिस हो गया है, कोई किसी फैक्ट्री में एक दुर्घटना हो गई है, दुर्घटना में एक आध आदमी की मृत्यु भी हो चुकी है, 5-10 आदमी घायल हुए हैं, उसमें से 2-3 जन की कंडीशन क्रिटिकल है। ये हकीकत है, इसमें कोई भी बनावटी चीज नहीं है, और आप ये सच्ची बात को पब्लिक को कहना चाहते हो या ऑलरेडी ये बात मीडिया में आ चुकी है। अब आपको सवाल कैसे आएंगे कि क्या आपका प्लांट बंद हो गया, आप चल रहे हो, आपका प्रोडक्शन डिसरप्ट होगा, आप क्या करने वाले हो, आपके ऊपर कोई कार्रवाई होगी, क्या आपके एमडी को पकड़ा जाएगा, जेल में डाला जाएगा, वगैरह वगैरह वगैरह। ये एक घटना कई बार हो चुकी है, और मान लीजिए ये आपके सामने एज ए पीआर प्रोफेशनल ये प्रॉब्लम आती है। सबसे पहले एक जिसे कहते हैं फैक्ट शीट बना लीजिए खुद के लिए, परिस्थिति क्या है, हकीकत क्या है, और आप इसके बाद क्या करना चाहते हो एज ए ऑर्गेनाइजेशन। ये जब आपकी रणनीति तय हो जाए, तब पीआर स्पोक्स पर्सन को वो ही बोलना चाहिए जो टॉप मैनेजमेंट ने मिलकर एक डिसीजन लिया है। क्योंकि आप अगर अपना स्टैंड बार बार बदलते रहोगे तो ये कहा जाएगा कि आपको पता नहीं है सिचुएशन क्या है। दूसरी बात, कम्युनिकेशन के बाद में आपका जो दूसरा इंपॉर्टेंट मुद्दा है वो ये है कि जो परिस्थिति है उसे आपके जो ऑडियंस है, मीडिया है, टीवी है, पत्रकार है, उसे ये कन्विंस कीजिए कि कुछ भी होगा आप उसे कंफर्म करोगे, आप उसे बताओगे, आप उसको लूप में रखोगे। क्योंकि ऐसे परिस्थिति में लूप में रहना और रखना सबसे अहम मुद्दा होता है। मेरे ख्याल से अगर ये आप दो चीज करते हो और ये क्राइसिस को के साथ चलते हो तो आपकी 99% केसेस सॉल्व हो जाएंगी। अगर अपन देखें जो देश में राजनीतिक मामला होता है उसके अंदर में एक आदमी सुबह कुछ बोलता है, दोपहर को कुछ बोलता है, शाम को तीसरी बात निकल के आती है, और रात में ऐसा मालूम पड़ता है कि सुबह में वो किस्सा हुआ ही नहीं था।
राइट, थैंक यू सो मच सर।
राइट, ओके, यहाँ पर केजरीवाल सर आपके लिए एक और सवाल आया है प्रेरणा का, एंड प्रेरणा वांट्स टू नो दैट हाउ हैज द फाइनेंशियल communication changed over the past few years? There has been a drastic shift from traditional to digital media. Has it impacted the evolution of financial communication as well?
So let me put it like this, Prerna. The first thing is, the moment you use the word digital, you are now talking of something which is a person walking towards his objective and a person using an aircraft. That is the speed at which digital communication can be reached to the far-flung corners of the world, while earlier we were walking towards our communication. That is the kind of difference in evolution that has happened. So even before you may have thought that you have finished communicating, you will start the rebound coming in of your communication. So it has revolutionized the way things happen. A company has a board meeting, it declares its results to the exchange. Within 5 minutes, you have people who have analyzed the result, and maybe in 20 minutes, you have videos, YouTube videos on the performance of that company. So you get immediate, instant reactions to everything that is happening in financial communication.
Right. बद्रीनाथ सर, आपके लिए यहाँ पर एक सवाल है जो पूछा है कि आपने ये जो एक एक्सपोजे किया था यूरिया स्कैम, did you get some insiders help in getting info, or you had to hunt for information on your own? Some news on radar.com wants to ask you. Well, I know it's like very difficult, like sort of immoral as well too.
A media person takes certain secrets to the grave. So there are few things which normally we would not like to,
Absolutely.
Especially in investigations. Number one. But having said that, it is a fact that it has been to do an investigation for more than 1 year. And in that, I would like to point out one big issue. And there is to be a guy called, all of you would remember, one Mr. Rajesh Khanna. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
He's from the insurance business. He used to be part of the Oriental Insurance.
Yes.
Now he's no more. But I learned a lot from him, because urea, once it was contracted, it has to be, insured during the transit. I did not know how the insurance business works. And believe me, that is when I understood as to how the marine insurance business works. He took 3 days class for me, alone. अकेले में ओरिएंटल इंश्योरेंस के दफ्तर में सब दरवाजा बंद करके मुझे 3 दिन के लिए क्लास पढ़ाया कि भाई मैराइन इंश्योरेंस बिजनेस कैसे काम होता है. उसके बाद ही हमको समझ में आया कि भाई यूरिया कैसे कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होता है, how it is shipped to India, what is the bill of lading, how is the banking transaction business that happens. So all that I learned only from him. So what I'm trying to say is that in the financial communication, one, like Mr. Kejriwal was saying, having the right kind of knowledge is very important. Second, what do you communicate or what you do not communicate, or what is the strategy with which you communicate is a question which he has dealt with. I have a slightly differing view because he is an analyst, but my guess is that the financial communicator needs to influence the management's decision. If they are going wrong, saying that you're wrong, is an issue that we need to take upon ourselves. Unless you point out that this is wrong, otherwise we are doing a big disservice to the market, the shareholder, the banks who have put in money, and also the debt funds, whoever has put in money, or the insurance companies, whoever has under. So, point I'm trying to say is that both issues are.
I think you and Kejriwal sir both are sort of aiming at winning the trust of the investor, of the management. But yeah, the packaging has to be different. One has to be from a PR side, or a rather a communicator side, and one from the journalistic view. Like, be honest and tell us the truth so that we can also probably tell the public about it. There is one last question that I want to take. It is from Shubham, and it is from Badrinath sir, that nowadays there are a lot of phishing phishing attacks, what would be the consequences for banks to fully inform banks' clients about cybercrime attack on electronic online banking system?
Okay. Now, see, phishing attacks, it's not in the West, it is much, much larger. Many a time what happens is, and in Bharat also, even in India, the phishing attacks have been there, maybe even on the companies as well as the banking channels. The banks especially.
I love your ringtone, sir, by the way.
No, that's okay. Banking, banks are a big target for this cyber crimes. And believe me, if you recall, there was a big haste that happened in the Central Bank of Bangladesh, and which was videographed. And then after that, it was put out on the social media networks. It happened perhaps about 3 years back or 4 years back. And they actually cleaned up money from there. It's not exactly a phishing attack, but there are several financial companies which have come under phishing attack. But the point here is the cyber security is an evolving issue. And protecting the company or the bank or the investor's interest by securing your networks is a big challenge for every one of us. And once that happens, the attack happens, somebody has squatted on you and you're not able to pull him out, or somebody has cleaned up your account, then you had it. The best of the financial crimes have happened on the banks itself, globally, especially in the Nordic countries. So there is no easy solution to phishing attacks. But technology, artificial intelligence, then your cybercrime kind of a unit that some of the banks had or outsource, those operations are important for us. That's what I can say.
Okay. Baba sir has posted one question, which again I would say that it is the last one. He wants to ask about the hyperbole syndrome that you just mentioned in your speech. How far it is applicable in today's world when people are getting information by seconds interval, not minutes?
See, what happens is normally hyperbole syndrome is an issue. Many a time, in our enthusiasm to paint a very rosy picture of our company as financial communicators, we may just step ahead and say that no, this company is doing so good and that kind of stuff. So, and he is right. And the bluff can be called very early, very, very early. I would, also add to what Mr. Kejriwal has said, that in 1 minute, as soon as you file your financial results with the stock exchange, in 5 minutes, you know what's the issue. And in 20 minutes, he says even the videos will be available. And in that, two ways of looking at it. One is that there would be actually, आपको आईना दिखा सकते हैं कि बाप हाइपरबोल क्या बोला है, because many time press conferences होते हैं, investors meetings होता है after the stock exchange बंद होने के बाद, और उस समय में मान लीजिए कि कोई भी ऐसी गलती ना करे कि भाई कुछ ज्यादा कंपनी में एक्सपोज करने के लिए कोशिश किया इन टर्म्स ऑफ पॉजिटिविटी बढ़ाने के लिए इन्वेस्टर वैल्यू बढ़ाएंगे हम टेम्पोररली और यू विल प्ले समटाइम्स इनटू द decision of the top management to play the market by using hyperbole. We would add value to so much X, Y, Z. So that doesn't work. So hyperbole syndrome is something which we need to be very, very, cautioned about, for the simple reason that we would get exposed very easily. And second part is restraint is what is the caution, or is the word that we need to observe. हो सकता है कि भाई your market value may go up slowly, and it should happen naturally and organically. And not that I make a statement now so that it goes up by sometimes we plant stories also, float stories also.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that is what we shouldn't be looking at.
Yeah, so exaggeration is something that we should rather avoid in our general lives as well. On that note, sir, Arun Kejriwal sir and Badrinath sir, thank you so much. And now I hand over the stage to Vipin Kharbanda sir for final vote of thanks. Thank you so much. Vipin Kharbanda ji, please.
Thank you, Vivek. Thank you very much. Dear Badriji and Kejriwal ji, we the members of PRSD deemed it our proud privilege to propose vote of thanks. Our heartfelt and sincere thanks to Shri K. Badrinath ji, Shri Arun Kejriwal ji for giving this enlightening and very informative session. Sir, you have cleared most of our doubts pertaining to the media matrix, media management for effectiveness of financial communication. Communicators need to align with the expectation of investors. Then changing needs in the financial communication trends, also the suggestions, the way forward for the communicators. We are grateful to all our guests, participants, and our audience for making this webinar a great success. Our sincere thanks to Rao ji, Dhawan ji, Dondial ji, Sharma ji, Vivek, Sarvesh Tiwari, and all the board members of PR Society Delhi who have worked day and night, even up till the last. Our special thanks to Shubham and Babaji, and without them, it was not possible to conduct the webinar. We sincerely appreciate the missionary zeal with which all have worked towards the success of the webinar. Extraordinary energy, free and frank discussions to reach out the new ideas to synergize the delivery is praiseworthy. So far as the entire team of PRSD governing board is concerned. Once again, we thank you, sir, for your presence by sparing time for your busy schedule and valuable information shared with us. Now we can come to the end of webinar. Thank you all once again.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Just a small question to Mr. Badrinath, if he's there. I think he's already there.
Yeah.
चलिए ठीक है. Okay, no problem. I just wanted to ask one small thing. Anyway, ठीक है. We can wind up.
Yes, sir. We can personally ask him later on. Right. Right. Thank you.
Sir, I think he's there.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Thanks a lot. सबको धन्यवाद.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.